Welcome. This video is about 15 minutes long and it covers my youth to about 1967 of fishing. In those days we started out, of course, as children with our parents going perching with cane poles and then fishing off of a pier in Salt Bayou, and then also going to Booty with my dad and hunting. Here's a picture of me leaning on my dad's shoulder. This is the first big event in my life here as far as fishing. We went on a tarpon rodeo, my dad and I, in 1951. Dad and I had planned to go to the tarpon rodeo in 1952. Unfortunately, he died, accidental electrocution, July the 5th, 1952. So his brother, Uncle Maurice, took me as a guest of his fishing on that rodeo. My Uncle Morris bought me a small boat to play with after my dad died in the rodeo, and we had a good time with it. In fact, it was pretty much like this little hull you see this man sitting in out by the rig. That's what we used. In a short few years, high school was over. I joined the Coast Guard, and while I was away, the old boat that I had, I'd filled it up with water, and it rotted. So when I came back, I had to junk that boat. So my next boat was another plywood hull, but this one was mahogany. It was gorgeous. Old man had it, and it was 16 feet long and had two outboard motors on the back, 35 horsepower Johnsons, and it skedoodled along. I had married Nancy Cush before I bought that boat, but then the next thing I know, we were expanding out and with our two little children to summer homes, summer boats, skiffs, and a lot of fishing over there. My second boat was a nice hull, boy, and it just did great. There we had Uncle Steve's camp down in Myrtle Grove, and from there we went fishing and doing all kind of things down to Empire. My little boy there is holding a big fish. Now we were with the grandfather Arnold Cuss, Empire fishing. I'm gonna let the shows talk for you the rest of this. As time went along, a bunch of buddies and I got together and we started fishing together. We'd go down to Empire on the weekends. The purpose of this show is to provide pictures for the many folks that have been fishing with us over the many years at our various camps. We've had camps in, we were a member of a camp owned by the Robichaux, and then later we bought our own camp all together at Shortcut Bayou, which was off the Empire Canal towards Bay Pomodoro. And then that one burned down, and we bought a final one down in Bayou Foran. You'll see it at the latter part of this tape. It was a great place, but so my wife says, you may not know who we are. We are a multitude of people, relatives, uncles, cousins, and mostly a lot of these trips are by State Farm agents in New Orleans. We had 8 of us that were partners at various times in these camps. It was great fun. We could go down on a Friday and we'd have at least 4 boats. And those boats would be out in the marsh, and soon somebody would get on the fish, and he would then let us know, and we could all kind of go to that area and fill our boats. It was great fun. As you'll notice, we also carried our boats, Nancy and I did, We'd bring them over to Florida when we'd have our little summer vacations and go fishing offshore and catch all kind of great fish. The Larimer kids would join us, and the Larimers, and other folks. It was just all great fun. We had a good boat, nice, solid, and safe. And as you can see, even the Secknickers were part of the party. So I've had a lot of people ask me if I could display these pictures because Nancy and I were fortunate also to be partners in sailboats. And as you can see, we'd go sailing. Our kids today all have boats, sailboats, and they're beautiful. And it's fun to go riding with them. The truth of the matter is, when we first started all this, we were in our 30s, and it was fun. We could jump from boat to boat, get out there, unload the car, unload the boat, go fish and come back, play poker. But then when we got into our 50s, we began slowing down. It was kind of hard doing that stuff. And then when we got to our 60s, nobody was interested anymore. They just couldn't handle it. As a result, what we all ended up doing was selling the camps off, going and doing our own things. One of them was we had a condo on the Gulf Coast, but that didn't turn out as well as we had hoped. Too much trouble with neighbors. Then when we got that sold, I looked around and I found a camp right down by Uncle Steve's old camp that was on the water. It was a drive-to camp, and it was just easy to go to. And since then, we've been using it. Next show I make will be on it and all. It's a good time we had out on lakefront on one of our boats. My brother was running, I was running the small boat along with my buddy Bob Brockhoff. We were taking the kids skiing. Then Uncle Steve asked me if we couldn't put a little fishing trip together for his bunch, and we did that. This is beach fishing, which was great. We were close in those camps down in Empire to the Gulf to be able to go out and fish the beaches and catch out big trout and redfish, etc. This camp burned to the ground. It was in a lovely place. It had big oyster beds nearby, and we could catch fish everywhere. This is the area we now fish. It's out of place, shouldn't be on this picture show. Talk about fun. We all lived in a cul-de-sac in Tall Timbers, and all our neighbors got together one day and did a fishing trip down at the camp. Boy, did we have fun. As you can see, Richard was like one of the small ones that was there, but he loved it. This is Uncle Steve Redmond's fishing trip with all of his buddies he works with throughout the industry. Emil Rolls fishing trip with his kids and my buddy Rich Dubier. Another big fishing trip with the State Farm folks. This trip we had Shelly Flaherty and her daughter Tori, Nancy, and me. We had a big time. This trip I had Francis Jackson and Dave Foley, friends from Florida, on a little weekend stopover. After Hurricane Juan, Richard came down with his pal Mike and helped clean the camp up. And that was an indication of problems at Black Creek, because none of the guys were interested in working on the camp. This is Rich Dubier, a good friend of mine, known him for many years. We really miss him. The final slides I have regarding the years 1940 to 1997. I hope you've enjoyed this show. Thank you.